All right, today we are cracking open the playbook for smaller, boutique fashion brands that are trying to really make a mark online. We're talking about using SEO, that's search engine optimization, to not just compete, but to actually win against the giants of the fashion industry. Okay, let's get into it.
So you've probably asked yourself this exact question, right? You type in leather jacket or summer dress, and the first page of Google just feels like this impenetrable wall of huge, established retailers. It's the #1 challenge for pretty much every small and medium-sized fashion store out there. And this chart, well, it just hammers home the reality of that fight. The big brands, with their giant marketing budgets and authority they've built up over years, they basically own 90% of that search landscape. That leaves this tiny little sliver for everyone else. But here's the good news. A really smart strategy can make that 10% incredibly valuable.
So here's our battle plan for today. First up, we're going to understand why fashion SEO is its own unique beast. Then we'll dive into optimizing your digital showroom. We're talking your product pages. After that, we'll build up that technical foundation, create content that actually brings in shoppers, and finally, figure out how to measure what's working.
Okay, let's kick things off with part 1. Really getting a handle on the unique challenges of fashion SEO. This isn't like selling books or electronics. Fashion plays by a whole different set of rules.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Think about it. Fashion's all about visuals, so your site's loading 3 to 5 times more image data than a typical website. Then you've got these super complex product variations. A single shirt might have 40 different combinations of size and color. Your inventory is constantly changing, and on top of it all, you're in this fierce competition for really broad keywords.
And that leads us to this. This is a huge deal. Your customers, they expect to see a ton of beautiful, high-resolution photos. But every single image you add can slow your website down. And slow websites, they just don't rank well, and people don't buy from them. So it's this constant tug-of-war between looking great and being technically fast.
Okay, so with that in mind, let's jump into section 2. We're talking about optimizing your digital showroom, your product pages, and your collection pages. This is where the magic really happens.
And this number is exactly why it's so important. A massive 60 to 70% of all your organic traffic from search engines is going to come from how well you optimize these specific pages. It is, hands down, the highest impact area to put your energy into.
So how do you do it? Well, just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got this generic, boring description that probably a dozen other stores are using. It's basically invisible to Google. But on the right, you have a unique, compelling story. It talks about the fit, the feel of the fabric, how to style it. It answers questions the customer might have, and that's what ranks.
And hey, even something as simple as your URLs plays a huge role. You want a structure that's logical and easy to read. It should go from your main site to a category like women's to a subcategory like dresses, and then end with a descriptive product name like rose print midi dress. This helps people and Google know exactly what they're looking at. The big no-no here, using those weird generic SKU numbers in your URLs.
And here's a serious pro tip. Do not sleep on your collection pages. For those big, broad, high-volume keywords like women's dresses, a single, perfectly tuned collection page can actually have more ranking power than all of your individual dress product pages put together. Think of it as your hub for those big-ticket terms.
Moving on to our third section, the technical SEO foundation. Think of this as the foundation of your house. It's all that essential behind-the-scenes work that makes everything else stand tall and function properly. When it comes to the technical stuff, the most critical factor is speed, period. Your goal should be to get the main important content on your page loaded in under 2.5 seconds. And the data is crystal clear. Websites that hit this mark see a 20 to 30% jump in conversion rates. Speed literally equals sales.
Now, what about when items sell out? Because it's going to happen. You can't just delete the page. You'll lose all the authority and ranking power it's built up. So here's your guide. If something's just temporarily out of stock, keep the page live and offer email notifications. If an item is gone for good, you use what's called a 301 redirect to send visitors and search engines to the next best thing, preserving that SEO value. And for seasonal stuff, just keep the page up and refresh it for next year.
And finally, on the technical side, you have to remember who you're building all this for. A whopping 75% of fashion e-commerce traffic is coming from mobile devices. Google actually uses a mobile-first index, which means how your site performs on a phone determines your ranking everywhere. You absolutely have to nail the mobile experience.
All right, so your site is technically solid.
Now for the fun part. Section 4 is all about content that brings shoppers to you. This is how you reach people who aren't quite ready to buy just yet, but are looking around for ideas and advice.
And the secret weapon here is what's called the long-tail keyword. So instead of fighting for a super competitive term like dresses, you go after a much more specific phrase. Yeah, the search volume is lower, but the person searching knows exactly what they want, which means they are way more likely to buy.
And here are some perfect examples. Look how specific they are. They include the product, some kind of qualifier like vegan or plus size, sometimes a location, and even a how-to question. This is exactly where smaller boutiques can totally clean up by creating great content that answers these really specific needs.
And with this kind of content, timing is everything. You can't just post it whenever. For seasonal trends, you need to be publishing your style guides and blog posts a good 6 to 8 weeks before the season even hits its peak. This gives Google plenty of time to find and rank your content, so you're sitting right at the top when people start searching.
Okay, we've come to our final section, and it might just be the most important. Actually measuring your success. Because you know the saying, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it.
Let's just cut through all the noise. You can track a million different things, rankings, traffic, clicks, but the single most important metric, your North Star, is organic revenue. How much money are you actually making from search? That's the bottom line. Full stop.
Another critical number to keep a close eye on is your organic conversion rate. For fashion e-commerce, a healthy rate is somewhere between 1.5% and 3%. This tells you if the traffic you're attracting is actually qualified, if they're the right people who are genuinely interested in what you're selling.
And to track all of this, you're going to need a few tools in your belt. Google Search Console is non-negotiable. It shows you how you show up in search. Google Analytics 4 tracks your revenue. Tools like SEMrush or AH are fantastic for competitive research. And a site crawler like Screaming Frog helps you find and fix any technical glitches on your site.
So we'll leave you with this question to really get you thinking. Look, you can't outspend the retail giants, but you absolutely can outsmart them. This entire playbook really boils down to this one idea. What is the one specific niche category, whether it's sustainable workwear or petite formal dresses or Australian-made linen, that you can become the absolute authority on and completely own in search?